Hello and welcome to the 18th session, and we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 17 today. And I guess without waiting or doing any more of a preamble, let's just go into it. Okay, we're reading from the King James Bible Online.org, chapter 17 of Genesis, verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Lord, walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and the Lord talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a Lord unto thee and to seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land herein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for all everlasting possession, and I will be their Lord. And the Lord said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. And in this covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee, every man child among you shall be circumcised. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or brought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is brought with thy money, must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And the Lord said unto Abraham, As for Sarah, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her and give her 3 sons also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. And Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? And Abram said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And the Lord said, Sarah thy wife shall bear a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as with Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at the set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and the Lord went up with Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and after that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male among the men of Abram's house, and the circumcised the flesh of the foreskin in the self-same day, as the Lord had said unto him. And Abram was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 30 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the self-same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house bore in the house, and brought which money of the stranger were circumcised with him. Okay, well, that's very interesting. So that's where the whole circumcision thing happened. That's very interesting. Okay, well, let's just skip through some of the verses here and see if I can pick up some nuggets. Okay, back up in verse 1. Several times Abraham, his age was identified. So here in verse 1 it says he's 90 years and 9, so 99, almost 100. And so the Lord appeared to him, and they had a discussion about a covenant. I noticed that in the other chapters, the Lord makes covenants with people, and they seem to be pretty big deals. So this goes on, and it goes down. It was around verse 5 where Abram becomes Abraham, because he's going to be the father of nations. Okay, that's in verse 5. And then it goes down and identifies that he will be the ruler of Canaan and for all its possessions. And keeps going on talking about the seed. Then in verse 10 is where it starts to talk about circumcision. And it says, "This is my covenant which I shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised." So there's an edict that comes down, and then the next few chapters talk about this taking place. In verse 12, it actually says infants at the age of 8 days shall be circumcised. So there's where that rule comes from. Then in 14, it talks about the uncircumcised man child shall be cut off from his people. And it's considered as broken the covenant. So there's a real penalty there if you don't get circumcised. Then in 16, it starts talking about, 15, changes Sarai's name to Sarah, from Sarai to Sarah. Now, Sarah's the name I'm familiar with. I heard it quite frequently. So now it's Sarah and Abraham. And Sarah's going to have 3 children, 3 boys. And Abraham is surprised at that since he's 100. And she is, she's 90. In verse 17, it says Sarah, that is 90 years old. So she's 90, he's 100, and they're going to have children. Pretty amazing. So that, in fact, happens. Then there's some discussion about in 19, she shall have 3 sons, and she'll call them Isaac. Doesn't say the other 2 is. I'm maybe missing something here. So it says Isaac, but doesn't say the other 2 name. And in verse 22, the Lord left Abraham, and he took Ishmael, his son. This is in 23. And all that was in his house, and all that he had bought with his money, and claimed them all, I guess. And more talk in 25 about Ishmael, and when he was 13 years old, he was circumcised. So that'd be interesting to see where all this is coming from. It requires more research. So that was interesting. So that's where all that comes from. Okay, well, that's an interesting chapter. So we'll continue on with chapter 18 tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have more information about what's going to happen with Abraham. So Abraham's a big deal. So he was Abram, now he's Abraham, and these last couple of chapters have all been about him and his sons and his journey. Well, that's it for today. You have a great day, and hopefully you can join me tomorrow.